time of I don't know how long it normally takes, but I've gone my 300 something or so miles. Had to fill up the camster. Time for a back day. And I can residually still kind of feel a little bit of soreness in my lats, especially from the last back day that I did. So that might be a little cue for me to maybe maybe make today a little bit more upper back focus, potentially. But I don't mind a little. I'm not going to say, oh, well, there's no way I can do back today. My lats still feel a little bit fatigued from the last lift. It would be different if it were, a normally routine workout. But since I hadn't done back for like a month or so ish, maybe a little, I don't know, at least a few weeks off to have come back and hit it, I would expect a little bit of extra soreness. But I'm sure there'd be a debate to be had there, because typically I'm gonna say, if whatever muscle you're about to train on that specific day is still sore from the last workout that you did, typically I'm gonna say, okay, probably give it another day. It's not gonna be particularly beneficial to, just spam it when it's already under recovered. Just give it one more and then come back stronger the next day. But, on the opposite side of that kind of coin of opinion, sure, I might feel my lats a little bit right now, but it's not that bad. So it's like a balancing act of what's like totally kind of fucking perfect and what's like, kind of maintaining a reasonable, like, disciplined routine where you're not going to get knocked off your game by just random little variables. And, somewhere in the middle is the right answer. But when it comes to especially the beginner, the core components of your working out, which I think are going to differ and kind of determine whether you're going to at least make legitimate gains or, kind of seem like a little more casual lifter. Not to dog on anybody who is, but if you want legit gains, but you're kind of putting in effort for casual gains, then what's going on here, right? So being a little bit more hard-headed in the beginning, I think, is a reasonable fucking approach. Because, sure, maybe, let's say it's midnight, you've got school the next morning, you got to wake up at 6:30, get all your fucking shit on, catch the bus or drive. It's been a while since I had to catch the bus. But either way, you're thinking, okay, man, I'm only going to get 5 hours of sleep if I do this chest day, or if I drive to the Planet Fitness. I know it's 24 hour, or, speaking from a legitimate experience, I would do the same shit in my home gym. I had a little basement kind of bedroom where half of it dumbbells, power rack, 300 something pounds of free weights, a little cable jerry rig setup, more than enough to do every upper body lift. I barely did any leg days in the home gym, kind of just because, anybody who's a diehard squatter, where their whole leg workout is squatting, they're going to be perfectly happy with a rack only leg day. But I need some machines for the training I'm trying to do. But for back, arms, shoulders, triceps, chest, everything, it's perfect. And having it right there, there's no excuse. But there'd be nights where it's like I had to do whatever during the day, like, sports or like diving practices or meets, or I was being fucking lazy with my school, so I'd have to like stay up and finish some kind of something due last minute. And then it's it would be like fucking 10 at night or 11 at night, or like even maybe later, and I'm sitting there, I'm fucking tired, I'm ready to go to bed. But it's like, okay, what do I do here? There's kind of a rational and then a personal way to take it. It's like, okay, my rational brain is thinking, all right, you should probably just get some rest, fully recover yourself, come back tomorrow, make that training session even better, stay on track. You got a little deviated today, but that's all right. Which is the right answer. That is definitely the correct objective move for anybody in the long game who's like, okay, I'm really into this. But as a beginner, at least for me, it's almost like I kind of wanted to, the fact that it was like, okay, it's fucking late. Like every variable is now against you. And then to do a crazy ass fucking chest day, that kind of got me going. Now, of course, right now, if I knew I was only going to get like 4 hours of sleep if I went to, go do a back day at like a 24-hour gym or something, I would still probably do it. Maybe it would depend on the situation. But I'm getting a little smarter. I'd say, okay, it's going to be better for me to rest, make more gains, train harder tomorrow, fully rested. But if you don't go through the process of fucking like trying to run through a brick wall like that with your training, then I don't know, man. So it's I feel like in the beginning, if you try to take it too easy and you try to like figure out the perfect methodical approach, then sure, you can work out, but I don't think you're really going to get anywhere crazy. Now, of course, somebody's watching this right now who thought to themselves, Sam, what are you talking about? I train following the most scientifically accurate and recent studies of every kind of training output from the get-go, and look how big I am. Sure. That's not how I kind of approached it. In my mind, in the beginning, it's like, train hard. I didn't really eat that hard. Like, I would make sure to eat enough protein in the day, but as a beginner lifter, I was just main gaining. I wasn't trying to do a dedicated massing phase. So I've said this before, but I want to reiterate it just to get the point across. Main gaining is legit. Totally fucking legit. I'm bulking up and cutting down now because I've main gained for long enough that it's just not really matching what my goals are. But main gaining is legit. But, in my mind, it's not, okay, let's make sure the training is absolutely perfectly stimulating. Let's make sure that if you try to start something perfect from the get-go, guess what? It will never fucking happen. And I just said it a second ago, but I want to say it again because I like the way it sounded. You can lift and go to the gym and you can put your Nikes on and your Gymshark t-shirt, but are you really being that serious? So that's kind of something where only right? So getting back to kind of how I was saying, it's like, should you do the rest day or should you train even though it's not really the optimal time? I think in the long run, the guy who is going to be the most unopposable to getting his training in is going to have the fucking momentum to ride for longer in his training. And as he gets smarter, he's going to think, okay, yeah, probably shouldn't train right now, but I know I would if it was the better option, right? So starting off kind of as a real meathead in the beginning and gradually getting smarter, I think is a reasonable path to follow. Now, I'm a little bit biased because that's kind of what I did, right? But I'm really just going in a roundabout way here, but I'm trying to say, really try to push it intensity-wise, effort-wise, and then everything else will fall into place. If you take somebody who is like fucking, they don't know jack about training per se, all they know is like curls, bench, squat, pull downs, pull ups, if that guy's going insanely hard, like he's pushing himself to his physical limit of what he's capable of every set, or at least for most of his working sets, that guy's gonna make serious gains. Now, if somebody's looking for a little bit of what isn't necessarily a shortcut, but is kind of, comforting for your training, it's like having a child safety lock in your training. I don't need to train to failure because it's been proven that 5 reps in reserve is just as effective. If I'm not calling anyone out specifically, but if someone were to say that to me unironically, I might not call them this, but in my mind I'd be thinking, wow, what a wuss. I mean, come on, it's just, if you look for the ways to kind of ease up the training and like, oh, well, you only really need to train 2 times a week because this kind of frequency is actually the most, it's like, come on. You might seem like you're going down the right path of optimizing your routine, but the way anybody who's serious is going to look at that is just, oh, you're trying to find the fucking easy route. And if your mindset is already looking for that easiest method to go about your training, then it's going to reflect in whatever training you end up doing. So I'm really going all over the place here. I can already feel all the beta alanine tingle in my cheeks. And I was watching a bunch of TikTok reels that were getting me, Instagram reels that were getting me really excited. So I'm kind of, I got anti pussy lifter on my mind. But I think that's enough chatting. Let's just get started and have a diabolical, blood flowing, maybe not genocidal, but horrendous back day. Horrendous in a good way. You know, for whatever reason, as soon as I roll in, and maybe it's just luck, but all of my normal starting back machines were taken. You know, the cables I usually like her, somebody had them, somebody was on them. The hammer strength row, same thing as one of the pull downs, really made me kind of search through my repertoire. And out of the woodworks comes the thought. Is my mic even on right now? Yeah, okay. Out of the woodworks comes the thought. Been over barbell row. Haven't done that for a while. So let's get this. I've warmed up reasonably extensively on the cables, and then 1 plate, 2 plate. Let's get real here. Oh no, 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate. Just to make sure it felt all right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Definitely an exhaustive movement. A lot of lower back as well. Let's do a few more. I like it. It's been a while. Gotta get reacquainted. Just a drop in weight. 275. And a little wider grip as well. Yeah. Oh, oh. Nasty lower back pump, lower lats, wrecked. Let's move on to something a little upper back focused. So still a row. Sam, 2 rowing movements in a row. Are you crazy? I would not say so. Because with those bent over barbell rows, very lat focus. I was barely getting any traps. Now, kind of on purpose, I was targeting my lats. But something like this, even though you'd still categorize it as a row, this is like all fucking traps. And this is, I feel like if you could overall kind of categorize different movements, there'd be one way to organize them, which would be stretch focus and squeezing focus. So something like this, really wide cables. So I'm not even pulling like this now, I'm pulling more like this. this kind of lets me seriously focus on my like mid traps. Because I mean, I can flex them if I do a regular row, but I don't get that same like squeezing togetherness. And maybe that's just me, but I like adding some very kind of wide inward kind of rowing movements sometimes. I think about it like if you're doing chest. Sure, you can do a lot of pressing and you're working your chest, but it's a whole different feeling to do flies. So I almost feel like this is an equivalent way to think about it. You know, this would be the press, and this is a little more flyish. But take that with what you will. Let's get real. It's fucking tricky putting these on with one hand. Come on. There we go. Okay. One more. Okay. All right. I'm not sure what's next. I'm gonna put this bench away and then decide. So typically, I'm not an insane like mag grip fan. Like this isn't a mag grip attachment, but it's the same style. Like instead of an actual bar, it's more like kind of a paddle that you get to hold on to, which has its benefits. And combined with the fact that the stack only goes so heavy, like a normal pull down, or like a Planet Fitness pull down is like 260. This one's only like 190, so it's curbing my ego a little bit. But that's a good thing, because this is going to be a really nice, nasty squeezing set. So it'll probably look like, I don't know, the first portion will be good, full reps. I'll always have a full stretch, but I'll actually kind of get a solid squeeze, hold it at the bottom. But as I get more fatigued, I'm not just going to say, oh, I couldn't get all the way to chin level. I only got to eye level. Let's rack it. No, you got more in the tank. So in my mind, at least, I feel like going extra far with some partials and kind of like some forced reps with a little bit of body language, I feel like that adds intensity to the set. I know it gets me fucking pumped up to hell. So I only see positive aspects to adding that to my training. I'm not going to say it's the best way to do it. Whatever you're doing, as long as it's making you progress, that's badass. But just try not to take it easy on yourself. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let's actually make it a rest pause before the nasty burnouts. Ish. I'm spoiling myself. I'm feeling this in my calluses. Yeah. 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 Let's switch grips. I can tell I'm using my forearms a little bit too much. Wide neutral grip bar for this one. Boy. Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. Let's pick something else. We're getting close to the end though. Back is almost totally cooked, god damn it. Light, controlled, stretch, focused. So this is a heavy stack. So even though it is half the stack, this machine is pretty fucking heavy. But I'm gonna do it kind of in the same way that I do a lot of sets of hamstring curls. Like it'll be a hold in kind of the stretch position. You can imagine this is my leg. Reasonably quick rep, still squeeze, hold, stretch. So that's what I'm focusing on here. It'll look like this. Instead of just kind of a fucking, quick rep. Slow, slow. Really try to open up. Pull. This is how the RP guys do it a lot. Do not mind either. Alright, Spotify, come on, let's screw it now. Alright. Okay. All right. Let's just finish with a set of single arm pullovers to burn out. Then go do some lat spreads. Widest in recorded history, hopefully. Well, at least for me. Nothing crazy here. This is not going to be lat obliteration. Like it's definitely not going to be so damaging as those sets of like bent over rows were. But right now, most of the heavy lifting, literally, has been done. So I just want to really finish off my lats, pump them up with as much blood as possible. And this is kind of like the same fucking situation as doing like cable flies at the end of chest for me. With a regular row, it's like squeeze, okay, relax a little. Something like this, constant, the tension's pretty constant, and I get a huge stretch and a really good squeeze. So, perfect finisher in my eyes. And then alternating style. Yeah. 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 Okay, one more. Okay. There we go. All right. Back's done. Let's find some lighting. Taking my time to make sure I'm right in the peak freak factor of the lighting. Now, middle of the gym pose down, use your best judgment. Use your best judgment if you're gonna bust one of those out. But pump to shit, fucking top to bottom too. Traps like crazy from those wide kind of upright rows. Lower traps, like if you know how your back looks, like let me see if we can maybe do a little anatomy while I do a shirt lat spread. So you see those like lines in my lower mid back? Like that's kind of the outlines of my kind of like, well, erectors, but higher up. Like this little kind of triangle looking shape. That's the inside of my lats where they fucking tie in. So if you do a regular pull down, I feel it a lot up here. But if you're going extra fucking like heavy with something, you'll kind of get a little more like really lower lats. If you ever do like single arm cable rows or cable pull downs, that's where I can really feel them squeezing all the way down to like my deepest fiber in a sense. So, well, all I'm trying to say is I feel a lot there from doing those really heavy barbell rows. But let's do a couple lat spreads, and then scram. Morning weight, unknown. Sometimes I don't like to weigh myself every day because you got to remember your day by day weight fluctuation. It really doesn't even fucking matter. What's really important is your week to week increases. So as long as you're seeing a trend line, you're cool. But if I'm an extra 2 pounds heavy one day or like 2 pounds lighter the next day, if I see that, all that's going to do is fucking mess with my brain. So let's just start from the backside. Yeah, see what I'm saying a little bit then? Fast forward like 8 months when I'm lean, then the Christmas tree will really be in its craziest. Let's see, there we go, right in the middle. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Let's see if it's just as wide on the front end. Oh, we're working with something. Shirt drenched. That's a good sign. Or it's a sign your gym is cheaping out on you and not using enough energy to run the AC. But either way, let's get out of here and go eat something. And with that, a very productive fucking back day has been completed. I wonder which movement was the best. Because I mean, it's just the nature of things. Some of those sets were probably more effective, or I was probably squeezing a little bit harder. I feel like if I had to grade it, probably the barbell rows, honestly. With just the combination of heavy weight combined with a really solid amount of effort, plus some Metallica, plus some Breaking Benjamin, plus some Diary of Jane, plus some other bands which I didn't know the name of because I was just listening to a like kind of a playlist. You know, when you go to, when you hear a song and you say go to radio, that's where I always find the best stuff. That's where I find the best kind of hype up music. But I was actually a little, not nervous, but I was a little hesitant even to do 315 on those bent over rows. Because for one, I haven't done them for a while, but also I, what's the word I'm thinking of? I haven't, well, I just haven't been doing back for a while, but too. But that's where having a reasonable and sensitive warm up is good for you, because I can kind of tell doing some of the cable work that I do, because I I kind of don't like showing it, because it's I kind of want to use it as like time for me to get excited about the workout itself. But before I do anything, there's always warm ups. So if you ever think I just immediately walk into the gym, throw my bag down, and grab 3 plates on a bent over barbell row, you're crazier than I am. You know, that's that's unheard of. And not unheard of in a cool way. I mean, that's unheard of in like nobody who can do that would do that. You know, so before I do anything backwise, I mean, what do you think I would start with? I kind of just grab a cable, put it on the high setting, 20, 30 pounds, nothing. Maybe 10 kind of rowing pull down reps. Same thing with the other side. Move the angle to like the middle, do some normal like rows straight to the body, some more kind of shrug based shit. A little bit of dumbbell curls, like hammer style, so I can warm up my forearms and my biceps a little bit, and a little bit of rotator cuff work. And if you think about it, that's basically everything that came into play during the back day. Chest is a little bit more stringent. I make sure to really, because before I do heavy chest, or I mean any chest, but heavy especially, I mean, I'm going to warm up my forearms, my biceps, my triceps a little bit, rear delts, front delts, my chest itself, a little bit of back too for stability, because I'm pressing off on my back. You know, I want to make sure that everything's in order before I put hundreds of pounds into what is a very delicate system of your rotator cuff. So there's a couple things you can do to mitigate that. Not to turn this into a chest rant, but if you've been a long time viewer, then you would know that my incline and Smith machine pressing styles have changed tremendously. I had a crazy habit of like pressing like this, like not to my neck, like not that crazy, but like very wide, elbows flared out all the way, wide grip. Because my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, nice, all chest, all everything. But dude, I kept getting crunchy shoulders, you know? So eventually, combining a solid rotator cuff warm up plus tucking my elbows in a little bit, have not had a shoulder problem since. So, all that to say, having a proper warm up, dude, it can save you a lot of trouble in the long run. Because the last thing you want to do is tweak something, and then rather than give it enough time to, if I can heal up and recover, just continue to aggravate it to the point where it might become a real serious problem, which you might have to seriously make accommodations for. And by that point, you might have no choice. So there's a certain level of foresight that somebody has where they can say, okay, let's take off time on whatever is hurting me now, um, willingly, rather than have to take off time in the future forcefully. So if you ever feel a little freaky, maybe don't do that weight. Maybe don't go for that set. Maybe back off and try something else. And I know that's a little bit counterintuitive to what I was saying at the beginning of the workout, or the beginning of the car drive, when I was like, dude, you gotta fucking go for it whenever. It's like, no, man. There's a balance to these things. It's never all the way on one side or the other. There's always a little bit of middle ground. But yeah, I felt just a little nervous. But 1 plate, 2 plate. Actually, I did 2 plates in a 75 first before I did 3 plates. And in that whole process of increasing weight after the that warm up, everything felt good. So I had the green light to go hard. So at that point, there's kind of a all systems go in a sense, because tweaks are going to happen. It's this isn't necessarily something I need to say to the beginner lifter, but the longer you've been working out for, shit's just going to happen sometimes. So if you're constantly afraid of it and you're constantly backing yourself off and never pushing yourself, I mean, sure, you may never, you get a badge of honor. You get to say, I never hurt myself in the gym. But a lot of the times I feel like you're not seriously pushing yourself unless you're doing something which has the potential to, go wrong. Which I'm not saying that like I ever want to get hurt. I'm trying to mitigate my injury percentages as much as possible, which has been kind of improving. My rate of tweaks and my rate of like pulls has decreased. I want it to be zero indefinitely. Like I don't want to pull anything ever again. But you never know. So if you're constantly kind of worried about that, if you have a good warm up, and you make sure everything's working, your shoulder feels good, your triceps feel good, you got a good night's rest, you feel pretty strong, dude, fucking push it. And then make sure you've got reasonable safety precautions in order. If you're doing a heavy bench and you don't have somebody spotting you, or even if you do, it's even better. Maybe do it in a rack. Maybe do it somewhere where you have some safeties. The squatting, especially. I mean, you're never going to catch me squatting without safeties. It's just not something you're going to see me doing. Even with a spot, it just freaks me out. So much shit can go wrong. So as long as everything is clear, I say just fucking lock it in, go hard, and deal with any random repercussions as they occur. Because you can't predict randomness. I could get fucking smacked by this little U-Haul right here. He could like pop a tire and swerve over. That doesn't mean I'm never going to drive to the gym again because I'm afraid of something crazy happening, right? That's just kind of just how life works. You don't need to be a fucking hermit. But I don't think that's advice everybody needs. That's maybe like 0.5% of anybody watching this who might feel that way. So, yeah, man, that's all I got. So, this is I'll try to spice it up a little bit with getting into some other stuff, but a lot of this is going to be me saying that was a really good workout. Let's go home and eat, and then just repeat it indefinitely. And if you can get comfortable in doing that on the regular, then guess what? Before you know it, you're going to be big. And when I say big, I do not mean like you're going to be the biggest guy in the room. I just mean you're going to be bigger than you were however long ago. And I hope that this isn't lost on anybody, but gains on any level basically give you the same amount of satisfaction. For me to do this bulking phase, to go from 240 to what I end up hoping is going to be potentially 280, even a little more than 280, that'd be fucking wild. The kind of like satisfaction I'm going to get from that is the exact same on a basic fucking level as when I went from 160 to 180 for the first time, or as I got my 225-pound bench for 10 for the first time, or making any reasonable progress. So whenever you get in the green and whenever you get in a new territory for you specifically, dude, that's the amount of like yippee kind of feeling that I get doing a lat spread and doing my fucking pump check at this size is exactly the same that it was when I was a 170 pounder in my high school weight room. So maybe it's just me, but something about that feeling is it's kind of something that I'm going to keep chasing for quite a while longer. Not forever. I mean, eventually I'm going to reach a baseline weight, and then after a while I'll be trimmed down, get back to a more kind of you know extendable what's the word I'm actually thinking of, like longevity kind of based build, like but that's gonna be in a while. You're never gonna I you're not gonna see me below probably 250 now. Yeah, 215 doesn't even sound crazy. You're not gonna see me below 220 for let's just say quite a while. Quite a freaking while. So we're in this for the long haul, god damn it. Let's go eat something, go home. Maybe not in that order. There's a reasonable probability that I'm going to stop at somewhere, maybe a Wendy's or so. I'm getting I think I'm addicted, man. I love the Sheets spicy chicken. I'm talking fully loaded lettuce, tomatoes, onions, shredded onions, pickles. I'm not so crazy I'm going to slap bacon on top of it, but something about it's just hitting me in all the right spots. Now, that is not something I'd want to eat every meal every day, but it's not going to kill you. So I'll see you tomorrow for what I hope to be my most pumped arm day ever. So if I could get to 20, I think the last time I measured pumped my arms were 20 inches. So if I can get into the 20 and a half range right now, 20 and a quarter, that's still gonna be new territory. That's still gonna give me my fucking my holy shit kind of feeling. And we just go from there. Only 2 months and change deep. We've got 4 more left to keep packing on mass until the unveiling early next year. So keep at it. And there's a certain activity, 30, 20, I've dialed it down a little bit. I'm doing 20 minutes a day now, but that's still 20 minutes more than a very large majority of folks out there. But you know what I'm talking about, and I know you know, and you know I know you know. So let's I may not be watching you, but in spirit, I'm judging you. Not too hard, but a little. So either way, arms tomorrow. I'll see you then.